I wanted to thank Andrew. I wanted to thank Matthias. We've been proudly with Matthias since the inception. Globality was a sponsor here in 2019. We've gone through this crazy hybrid period. We've been sponsoring the event last year as well, and it's amazing to see how this has grown. We now have multiple stages. We have a lot of things, so it makes us very proud to see how far DPW has come and what it has become. I'm very excited to be moderating the panel today. Clearly, Matthias said it. We live in unprecedented times. Procurement is at the center of pretty much everything that is currently challenging in the world, be it inflation, being a supply chain scarcity, be it talent scarcity. And how you make the jump from that being all incremental challenges to make it opportunities is really how procurement is able to respond to all of this. And I'll explain in a second why, but I do believe that technology is the answer. And the reason why technology is the answer is because ultimately the way you address all these very complex, multifaceted issues is by making decisions better. And to make decisions better, you do need access to a lot of information. And if I think about procurement, I've been a practitioner in various capacities for many years. I've been, as Andrew was saying, at General Motors. I've been with McKinsey as an advisor. And all I've heard was spend cube, spend analysis. That was the big thing for procurement. Now, can you imagine the depth of information that you lose if all you look at is a spend cube? You're taking an invoice, you're taking one line on the invoice, you have some clever or not so clever way of associating it to a category, and you're done. You're getting the information after the fact, and you're getting a very, very, very partial information compared to everything that is happening. And so 5 years ago, when I set up building a technology that disrupted everything at Globality, we really looked at how we could capture information throughout the journey, from the beginning till the end, because that's where the richness is. And you do it during the event, during the source to contract journey. You don't do it after the fact to try and then make better decisions the next time around. You simply don't have time anymore to do this. But anyway, I took this chance of being first on stage to share my view. We're really not to hear my view today. We're really to hear the view of my co-panelists. And let me start introducing the first one. If I can use a David Letterman say, it really needs no introduction. Eloise Epstein. Eloise has been, please, Eloise. Eloise is the author of several books on procurement and on how procurement deals with distraction. And I think she's one of the biggest champions of the best of breed logic when it comes to technology. So thank you a lot, Eloise. The next one is a good friend, Vanessa Peperella.
Hi.
And from Aquanima, the wholly owned procurement organization from Gruppo Santander, but many years in experience in automotive as well, and also a professor at the University of Navarra, is it?
Yeah, 2 different universities.
There you go. Yeah. And so let's have a sit and let's get going. The first thing that I want to ask both of you, and maybe Luis, we can start with you, is what's your vision? How do you envision the future of procurement at this stage?
Well, let me say just for a moment, take a moment and just be in this space. We have gone as a profession through the crucible of the pandemic, and we did the work. We showed up as a profession and we matured, and we did more in the last 2 years to advance digital procurement than we did in the previous decade. And I think that's phenomenal, and it's represented, you see it here very much so, and the companies that are represented here. So I think it's important to start with where we've come from. And the work that we do started, if you go back, our profession's only 25, 30 years old. And back in the 90s, in early 2000s, it was 3 bids and a buy. That was procurement, and it was just off in a closet somewhere and just annoyed everybody. And then we moved to total cost of ownership, and now in the early 2000s, but now we can see that because of automation, we can actually become what we refer to as value orchestrators. And that means driving risk, ESG, innovation, being the orchestrators of all of this. And I think the greatest opportunity is for ESG is through procurement, through your supply base. And the greatest risk to any enterprise is through the supply base. Because if you look at all the large scale hacks, comes through third-party suppliers. So I think to do this, we need to continue driving this digital innovation and adoption. And I'm super excited about the future of procurement. I think this is the greatest time to be in procurement and the greatest group or part of the business unit of an enterprise to be in.
That's very inspiring and very true. Vanessa, how do you reflect on it?
Well, I was thinking about how many influence we have in this room. If you can imagine, if we pull together all the volumes, all the decision taking that we have in our hands, we are able to deliver the change that the society and the big companies are responsible for. I mean, big corporations have a responsibility regarding ESG, make it real, and try to balance. And procurement is the handover and the link in between the market, the innovation, the new players, and the new trends, and deliver to the business. So to me, it's a unique opportunity for us to request a seat on the table. That's a question that we've been discussing many, many times. But now we show through the pandemic that we were able to deliver, we were able to save our business in some cases. And right now we are able to mitigate those risks that are happening, right? Inflation, like the war, disruption in the supply chain. I mean, we are basic for the business. If we are talking about industry, imagine about the smart factories, about big data, about blockchain. So we are in the middle of the stakeholders' relationship, and we are the ones who can drive this change. So to me, an enabler is, of course, technology. Without technology, we wouldn't have the time to think about strategy, to think about next steps, to think about what is the best of breed of the technology ecosystem that we have for every company. So take the chance, embrace the change, don't be afraid, and choose wisely your people, because people is the main asset that we have.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's so many things. You touched on so many topics. You touched on how do you cope with all the challenges that are there? How do you achieve your strategic ambition like ESG? You touched on how you retain your people and grow your people and so on. Considering that we are at a digital company, I like to take a little bit of a technology angle with it. But starting with you, maybe Vanessa, what are the main challenges that you are a CPO in charge of an organization, what
The
do you
main
face?
one, it's after that we have proven that we can deliver the value. Now we have to change the mindset and get the business together with us. Engagement from the business from the beginning of the projects. So innovation should be part of our roadmap as well. And being together, defining the request for information, not only the request for quotation. So define together what the business need. And we can do it through technology and linking this thinking, this vision with the market trends and scouting best of breed of the opportunities that we have ahead. So tools like Globality, you can do it. You have many different companies, many different small businesses, and with this you can link small businesses with big companies. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible. So right there you have ESG component, right there you have technology, right there you have time to market, a reduction time to market, and also simplifying the process, so be more customer-centric in our business.
Yeah. And Eloise, it's, I was listening to Jeremy's presentation earlier, and all the amazing things that in all fields technology is bringing, and artificial intelligence and machine learning is bringing, and so on. What role do you think that plays? Does that represent a challenge today for a CPO that wants to transform their organization?
No, I think it's a huge opportunity. You see that actually any startups here is leveraging all of these developments that James is talking about, or will continue to do that, and I think that's great. When you were talking about spend analytics was the thing 20 years ago, it seems so quaint now or anachronistic. And so we have all this horsepower and intelligence. We can now do things like category intelligence, supplier intelligence, risk intelligence, which is moving beyond orders of magnitude beyond anything we've done before. So I don't see the challenge as that. I will say there are 3 challenges. IT continues to be a roadblock, and there's no good reason why. There is a lot of fear about engaging with startups, and I think we have to dispel that fear, and that's part of what my work focuses on. And then the talent, we absolutely need to, as she was saying, upskill the talent and really have the entire organization be digitally focused.
Yeah, and I think organizations like events like this one, like DBW and so on, play a key role, at least on one of those, which is getting new technology closer to procurement and play a role there. Vanessa, I need to ask you this because I know it's very close to my heart and it's very close to your heart. Can you talk a little bit more about the journey that we've had together as a use case for adopting a technology, I wouldn't say untested, but not fully tested yet at the time, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
like Globality. And how was the journey for Santander and Aquanima?
Well, when I joined Santander, it was like 2 years ago. I come from a complete different world. I came from automotive, so to me it was like a shock. I didn't know what I was selling. I don't know what I was buying. I didn't know anything. But what it traps me, and I fell in love, it was because of the change management that it was happening. And one of the drivers was the implementation of Globality into the bank. It was a complete disruptive way of thinking. It's the first time that users and business, they feel owners. They don't see us as the enemy or controllers. They have the power to decide. They have the power to interact with the tool, and it's the user experience is much better. So we did the work, the hardest part, because I have to talk also about the pain points and lessons learned. It was the change management. We began by convincing our own team that they were not going to lose their jobs, you know? Because when they think about artificial intelligence and technology, they're afraid, and they don't want to embrace the change. So we try to convince them that they will upskill themselves, they will reskill themselves, and they will have time to think about what we're doing. So it was very, I mean, it was an incredible journey. We are still on it. And just in less than 1 year, we have thousands of events into the platform, 2 billion, and it's only the beginning, managed through the platform. And we were able to deliver time to market speeder, simpler and lean process. And that's something that the business is, you know, very grateful for. And also, we were able to find new players in the market. So to me, and we didn't lose the control that we are supposed to have. And we comply with every request that we were having from the bank. So to me, it's like perfect virtuous circle that we are learning. And another lessons learned is that we went far beyond what we expected from the tool. And we stressed the tool and tried to use it in a different way and being innovative, and we succeeded. So that's it. I mean, it was it's a journey that we're still there, but it was, I mean, amazing. It's a different change of the game, because it's self-procurement, self-sourcing, and it gives you time to think about those challenges that we were talking about.
Did it help you get that seat at the table, or a bigger seat at the table?
Yes, because we were able to show the value that we were delivering to the business. Now they come to us. Before, we were asking, please invite me to this meeting, please, I want to be part of this project, please don't forget about me, like the song, you know? But, yeah, but right now, it's the other way around. They come to us and say, hey, I'm thinking about, I don't know, bringing out into the market a new product, like green financing. We are very close to green financing. And I want you to be on the table to understand what it's my need and for you to contribute. Because you know the market, you know the players, you know, you are the link in between my supply base and my business and my customer that are expecting something from me. Because big companies have a reputation, and to me, they have a responsibility with the society.
And I think you touched on the fact that you ended up using the tool the way you wanted it, and not the way that necessarily was prescribed.
That's
which
it.
I think with new technology is oftentimes a critical component of making it successful for your organization. And Louise, what's your experience? What should company do to be successful in implementing all these new technologies, younger companies?
Yeah, a couple things. One is to separate out innovation and bringing on, we do talk about the digital garage, and I know there's a session right after this around that. And so you have to segment your innovation center from your business as usual, because when daily operations, when inflation happens, a pandemic, the next big whatever, everybody has to scramble, and if you pull the people out of the innovation, it's going to kill that. Also, you have to work with the business and bring them in early, and they have to be part of this innovation center, because you need to get their feedback early. The mistake we always make is that we think we know what the business wants, and we put a bunch of procurement words and stuff that's irrelevant to the business. And so then we give them a tool that doesn't look anything like they expect it. And so what I love about all the startups that I see and talk to, and especially Globality, because actually I saw it first with Globality.
That's right.
Years ago, quite a number of years ago, I think, is that this intuitive interface, and you don't have to actually know what you're looking for. And I'll just put a point on that. I remember having to define taxonomies and hard code them into tools. And some tools still require you to hard code these taxonomies, where when you look at a tool like Globality, that whole idea of a taxonomy is irrelevant. That machine learning, that AI makes that old work irrelevant.
Yeah, and you were indeed one of the first to spot us before most did. So we are very thankful and very fond memories of those early times. So the last question that I had, and maybe Vanessa, we can start with you, is so we talked about what procurement could look like going forward, what is important for procurement. We talked about how technology plays a role in it. But if you had to give an advice to this audience about what to do when they leave this conference on Friday or on Monday morning, the first thing, what would that be?
Well, to me, embrace change. Don't be afraid. I mean, this is something, I mean, future is now. It's not in 2 or 3 years, it's now. Don't be afraid of changing the game. Don't be afraid of challenging your CEO. Deliver by results and convince your teams and engage them with this change. I mean, upskill your teams and engage with the business earlier. And well, find the right tool and the best of breed of the ecosystem that you have in your company. That would be my advice.
And Luis?
Well, if you're a CPO and you're here, then you're doing the right thing. If you are watching this and not here, or your team is here, then you need to be here next year. And because I think there is something about swimming in the zeitgeist of this innovation and the excitement, and I think every CPO needs to be here. And I'm impressed that Vanessa's here, and there's others, because this is how you learn. And we've had too many leaders, and if I can, I'm going to be talking about leadership bias tomorrow in my session. And so I think we have too many leaders that have sat in this, like vacuum, and they've made some poor decisions. So I think you need to be out and engaging and at the very senior level. And so I would say to every CPO on Monday morning, call a founder and really get engaged. I also think IT groups absolutely loathe me. And I think that part of it is because I'm pushing against the grain and challenging the status quo in IT, because when it comes to sales and the commercial side, IT is very hands-off. Salesforce is all good, whatever. But when it comes to supply chain, for some reason, IT thinks they know best. And I think we need to push against that. And so maybe Monday is call a founder, maybe Tuesdays take the CIO out to lunch. And if that doesn't go well, Wednesday, talk to the CEO and try and get the CIO fired. And then I would say on Thursday, really start to champion these tools and these new ways of working, and really think about how can I simplify my processes and how can I upskill my talent. Because many of the processes that we have in place, they're so complicated and there's so many touch points and handoffs. It's because the technology from 5, 10, 15 years ago was terrible and it didn't work, and we had to backfill with people and complicated processes. You don't need that anymore. And so on Thursday, you can redo your processes, and then Friday, maybe work on your talent, because when you look at the job descriptions don't talk about anything that's going to go on in this conference here. And I think that's missing from job descriptions. And I have done an analysis on job descriptions. This is my fixation right now. And so when I talk about digital skills, we really need to, you can't learn digital, you have to do it, and you have to create the environment for enabling that. And it starts with the people. So there's 5.
And,
there's a whole week.
And on Friday evening, you have a glass of wine to celebrate and toast for the success.
The success, right, because you will have become digital by the end of the week.
That's it.
I was going to say, more than Monday morning is a whole week of activities, so just to get started. But yes, I want to thank you both. It's been extremely insightful, and we feel privileged to be part of this transformation and to contribute with our technology in this transformation. But I think one of my main takeaways, and I hope the audience found it as insightful, is that there are a number of moving parts that need to come together in order for this to happen. And it sounds like it all starts really with the executive empowerment that then cascades into making the right choice on people, making the right choice on technology, and deploying from that. Thanks a lot to both of you, and thanks to all of you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.